Hi, I'm Tracy Kropp, a Family Aftercare Coordinator at Life Connection of Ohio. On behalf of Life Connection of Ohio, Solvita, and Lions Eye Bank of West Central Ohio, welcome to our 2025 Celebration of Life. We are honored to recognize the compassion and generosity of you, our donor families, and also our donor heroes who have given the gift of life and hope to others.
I'm Katie Witham, a Family Aftercare Coordinator at Life Connection of Ohio. During today's event, organ, tissue, and cornea recipients will share stories of gratitude. A special candlelighting ceremony will be held in remembrance of those who gave the gift of life and hope, and a photo tribute featuring donor heroes will be shown. It is our privilege to celebrate your loved one and their legacy.
I would like to introduce you to Matthew Wadsworth, Life Connection of Ohio's President and CEO. Chris Graham, Solvita's President and CEO, and Shannon Schweitzer, Lions Eye Bank of West Central Ohio's Executive Director.
Thank you for joining our celebration of life. We appreciate the opportunity to recognize your generosity during what must have been one of the worst times of your life. We are honored to support you and celebrate your loved one's life-saving legacy.
We hope you will find comfort in the amazing stories of those who have been personally touched by donation. Your loved one lives on in grateful recipients and will never be forgotten.
Your loved one's generosity through the gift of life and hope set a ripple effect into motion that will continue to have an impact in the lives of others. We are honored to come together to remember and recognize your loved one.
Please join us now as we light a candle to acknowledge your grief and remember your loved one. You may light the candle from your Celebration of Life kit or one of your own. As we light these candles, let their light be a reminder of the light your loved one brought into your life. The first candle is for our grief. The pain of losing you is intense. It reminds us of the depth of our love for you. This candle is in your memory. The times we laughed, the times we cried, the times we argued, and the joy we shared. This candle is the light of love. Day by day, we cherish this special place in our hearts that will always be reserved for you. Thank you for the gift your life brought to each of us. And the fourth candle is for hope. It reminds us of the love and memories of you that are ours forever. May the glow of the flame be our source of hope. Please join us in a moment of silence to reflect on your loved one's memory. May you carry their light forward in your heart today and always.
You will now hear messages from transplant recipients who are forever grateful to heroes like your loved one.
Hi, I'm Katie Beard, and this is my son.
Gus, I'm a cornea recipient.
When Gus was 5 weeks old, he developed a cornea ulcer that covered the majority of his left eye. And even though the cornea ulcer healed, it left behind a lot of scarring to the point where when he was looking through his eye, it was as if he was looking through wax paper.
We had to teach our classmates about ourselves, and I brought wax paper and I gave each classmate a piece of wax paper, and they put it up to their eyes and saw what my vision looked like before I had my transplant.
It was very scary. When we were at the doctor, they told us that we needed to go immediately to one of the big hospitals in the area. We didn't really know what was going on at the time, so it was a lot of waiting, a lot of tests, a lot of uncertainty, and their best guess is that he scratched his eye and it got infected, which led to the ulcer. But when we went to the Cleveland Clinic at 5 months, they told us that we were perfect candidates for a transplant. So we were very happy because the scarring did leave a large white mass on his eye. So while we weren't sure what the transplant would do for us, we knew that this would at least give him an opportunity to look more normal. So people now would have no idea that he went through anything. So at the age of 5 months, we were referred to the Cleveland Clinic where he underwent a cornea transplant surgery. And we visited there often for follow-ups. And now he is a fun-loving 9-year-old boy who loves sports, soccer, friends, swimming, and we are so incredibly grateful for the donor that was a 3-year-old boy who we received this cornea from.
I love to play soccer and swim. I like tacos. I like school. I like playing with my friends, watching sports.
Tell everyone who you think is going to go to the Super Bowl.
This year will probably be the Eagles and the Ravens.
We find it very important to make sure that Gus is knowledgeable about the things that have happened in his life so that he can be thankful and blessed for the gift that he received from the 3-year-old donor. We can't even imagine the decision that the family had to make and the emotions that they went through. We went through plenty of emotions on our end and can only imagine what they went through, so we are incredibly thankful, and we want everyone to understand the importance of donation.
Hi, my name is Rick Brown. I am a kidney and pancreas transplant recipient. My transplant journey started with, I guess at the age of 18, being diagnosed with diabetes. It turned out to be more aggressive and wind up causing, kidney failure. I was a senior in high school, started having symptoms of diabetes, which both my parents were diabetic, so I knew what they were, but didn't know because, it was me and not me looking at my parents. Wound up going to the emergency room where I was diagnosed with a sugar of 921. And me being, the kid of 2 diabetics, thought I'd just go home with some medication, and they wound up keeping me. After that, towards the end of my senior year of high school, I went to enlist in the service, and they told me I could not join because I was on a chronic medication. Mid-30s, I was diagnosed with kidney failure. My primary care physician sent me to see a nephrologist, and my local nephrologist sent me to, get some blood work done. Found out I was in kidney failure, and so he put me on the transplant list for kidney and pancreas transplant. It was my second appointment with my nephrologist that he told me I was probably in stage 2 of kidney failure, and he didn't wait to start the process of putting me on dialysis. So he had them put a port in my arm for dialysis, and during the 6-month heal process, I wind up having to use it before the 6 months was up, but he was more proactive to get me on dialysis, so it progressed to, I think, stage 3 or stage 4 by the time I was on dialysis, which was probably a year. During dialysis, I did work full-time with 3 days of dialysis. Yeah, and that lasted, I think, 18 or 19 months of being on dialysis before I started getting phone calls. Now that I think about it, it was probably 6 days of torture to 1 day of being able to be normal with dialysis and work. I would say that a lot of things that affected me before my transplant was stomach issues, vision loss. I had diabetic neuropathy, which was just like burning of my nerve endings, so it always felt like my skin was on fire or itching. So it was a lot of medications, a lot of, just surviving through what I was dealing with. I think the most traumatic thing was driving home from work one day, and probably over a matter of 2 minutes, I'd lost my vision. So life's gotten a lot better since then. But that first phone call, it just brought me right back to being hopeful that there's a chance that I would make it, through dialysis and be able to live a better life. May 19th was the perfect match phone call that I received, and I was walking into the house, which was supposed to be a surprise birthday cake for my wife because her birthday was the next day, which was May 20th. And when I set the cake down and answered the phone, it was like, you need to come down here. After spending a couple hours down there, May 20th, my wife's birthday, I got my transplant. Since my transplant, I would say I've most recently been able to drive more than a half an hour before I get tired, live a more normal life, less medications. I would say the biggest thing is I got to see my grandkids. You know, my first one was born, second one, third one, fourth one, fifth one. So I got 5 grandkids now. But being able to hold my grandkids, which I probably would not have ever been able to meet, just sitting out in the backyard, enjoying the weather, traveling, showing appreciation. But without that life-changing operation, I more likely wouldn't be here today. I've learned a lot about Scott, my donor. He was a skills tradesman, which I am a skills tradesman. He worked in the Cincinnati area when I was living in Cincinnati at the time. We have similar hobbies, you know, cars, you know, fasting, music. I don't know, the love of family is another thing that we share. My life has changed because I become more involved with the small things in everybody's life. I volunteer, I'm active, and it's not just my life. It's me and Scott giving back to the communities we live in. All things in life now would not be possible without the gift of donation that Scott gave to me. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Simone Denis, and I'm a tissue transplant recipient. Yeah, so I've been playing hockey ever since I was the age of 4. So I grew up in Vancouver, British Columbia in Canada, where hockey is everything in Canada, you know. In the United States, it's the footballs, the basketballs, baseballs. In Canada, it's hockey. It centers the entire world. So I've grown up ever since I was a young kid. I was fortunate enough where I earned my way throughout my career to a Division I scholarship. I played at Fair State University, which is in Big Rapids, Michigan. I was going into my junior year. So obviously when you're playing collegiate sports and you're trying to earn your way towards making it professionally, you know, your upperclassmen years are very important. And I was very fortunate where after my sophomore year, I'd actually been invited to Detroit Red Wings camp. I attended that, felt really good about it. You know, they wanted to keep an eye on me, everything like that. And then at the beginning of my junior year, 4 games into the season, we were playing on the road down in Alabama. And as I went back for a puck, I got pushed from behind, and I ended up, at the moment, not really knowing what happened, but I ended up injuring my neck. So after I was stretchered off, went to the hospital. As I got there, you know, I was in pain, but as any athlete, as any hockey player does, I was asking my trainer, can I play tomorrow? Is it gonna be okay? Like, how long till I can play? Will I be back by Christmas? Asking those simple questions, because I didn't realize the magnitude of what had happened. And after about 4 or 5 hours in the hospital, the surgeon finally came in and he gave me word essentially that, hey, it's a miracle you're not paralyzed. I had no idea. Once he said that, that was the first time when it hit me where, okay, this is not good. Like, this is not what I was hoping that it was gonna be. And after they said that, basically I had to, for the next 48 hours, I wasn't able to eat or drink anything because I had blood that was coming into my spine. So I had to be put on blood thinners, stay in the hospital in Alabama. Mind you, school was in Michigan, my family was in Vancouver, British Columbia, and my mom at the time was actually traveling in Japan. So I had no family, no friends, nobody else there except myself in the hospital, and then my athletic trainer was with me as well. But the team still had to play games, so he still had to go back. So I sat in a hospital bed by myself for about 3 days in Alabama in a whole different world, not knowing what the future entailed for me hockey-wise, let alone life-wise, just because at that time, what they said was if the blood does get into the spine, you need to go into emergency surgery, or you would be paralyzed from the neck down. And that was the first time when, you know, like I said, the magnitude really started to hit me. And I was fortunate enough where the blood thinners helped. I was able to leave the hospital, return back to school in Michigan. I was in a neck brace for about 2 months as they prepared me for surgery. I had a lot of tissue damage and everything, and a lot of swelling in the neck area. So I had to wait till early in the new year. So once January hit of 2014, I was able to get the surgery. So what happened was I had a C5, C6 spinal fusion. The bone was donated from a tissue donor. And as I was able to receive that, it was the first step for me to get back to what was a normal life, let alone even the thought of trying to play hockey again. Over the next several months, 2 more months of wearing a neck brace, lots of hours of therapy, physical therapy, everything like that, just to get to the point of being able to get myself mentally to want to get back into hockey and not have that fear of being injured again. I was able to get to that point. I've continued on through my final 2 seasons at Ferris State. After that, I was extremely fortunate where I was lucky enough where the Toledo Walleye signed me through the Detroit Red Wings. I was in Toledo for a couple of seasons. I went to Detroit Red Wings main camp, which was an amazing honor and such a cool thing looking back on now. I had a chance to play in the higher league, the AHL as well. I went overseas to Asia for 4 years and played in Japan and South Korea. I being actually half Japanese, I got to play for the national team and represent my country, which was a big honor for my family, and got to return back to Toledo to finish off my career in 2023. So without that gift that I received from that donor, I don't know where my hockey career would have been, let alone where my life would have been. And without that, I have so much gratitude to that person, whoever they may be. So now looking back on it, from something that happened in 2014, in college, it took me to a time where I had to take a step back and just look at life itself and get an understanding of, okay, there is more to life than just hockey, where sometimes as an athlete, it's difficult to separate your life from athletics. So for me, getting the chance to do that and getting to be able to see where life could take me, and years down the road, I was able to meet my wife. We were fortunate enough to have a son that we actually birthed in Japan, which was so cool, and so many cool memories looking back on it now. But now he's 3.5, my son Griffin. I get to just enjoy life with him. My wife Amber and I get to enjoy doing things with him, whether it's playing, whether it's going to sporting events, whether it's going to the swimming pool. Every little thing, we get to just enjoy those moments. And I don't know where my life would be if it wasn't for that donation and if I wasn't able to receive what I did. And now, like I said, I could not be more grateful. Thank you so much for the donation. It allowed me to not only get my life back on track athletically, but it allowed me to live my dream as a professional hockey player and get me to the point in life where I am now, where I get to live happily with my wife and son and continue being the person I am and the person I strive to be.
Hi, my name is Rose Hajar and I am a heart recipient. So I was born with a congenital heart defect, and so I had to have 3 open heart surgeries before the age of 2. And when I was 5, I developed another disease called PLE, protein losing enteropathy, meaning my body couldn't hold on to protein, and I was very sick. I was in the hospital every week getting infusions, and I just couldn't do what all my friends and my sisters were doing. I was very limited. So I spent many years with lots of meds, lots of doctor visits, blood tests, all the things, in and out of hospitals, until we finally concluded that I wouldn't be able to live a healthy and full life without a heart transplant. So in February 2018, I was put on the wait list, and 10 months later, December 13, 2018, I got the call that I had a match for a heart. So that year we had just moved. I was at a new school. I was in 6th grade, and I was kind of still, making new friends, kind of getting to know the school. So I was in the school musical, the junior musical, and that night I was in rehearsal. It was Beauty and the Beast Junior, and I was one of the silly girls. So I was in rehearsal, and my parents walked in, and I was like, that's weird, why is my family here? And they came in, and I met them, and they were like, we have a match for a heart. And we drove to the hospital, we prayed for the donor family, and I went into surgery. After surgery, I spent 3 weeks in the hospital recovering, and I had such a great support system. My doctors and nurses and family and friends, they were all there, and I was really grateful for all the help and all the support that I had. And I thought of my donor family every day, even though I didn't know who it was, where they lived, anything. I thought of them every day and of what they must have been going through. And I went home a couple weeks after surgery, and I spent a couple months at home recovering, and I went back to school in April, and it was really a miracle. It was like I could be a kid again. And I remember walking back into school the first day, and all my teachers and other peers and students, like my friends, clapping and hugging me, and it was such a really great moment. It was really, really great.
I am Joy Hajar, Rose's mom. I wanted to share a moment that was, there was a moment when Rose, after her transplant, it was the first day of school, and she was starting junior high. And she got out of my car at drop-off and walked into school in little purple tennis shoes. And for the first time, I watched her walk into school, and I drove home thinking of our donor family. And I said to myself that the moment just hit me so hard, because Rosie spent years not able to go to school and in the hospital and sick, and we didn't know what her future held. And on that morning, when she walked in as a junior high student with her backpack and her little purple tennis shoes, I said, the donors need to know what they just gave us. That we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring, and none of us can predict the future, but today she's a normal junior high kid. And I went home and I sat at my desk and I wrote the letter to the donor family. And this was probably her December to August, almost 9 months. And it was the first time I felt like I could really sit down and write the letter. And I shared with them a picture I took of Rosie that day with her backpack in her purple running shoes as her first day of junior high. And off the letter went. And 2 years passed, and I never heard. And Rosie was thriving and growing and developing and trying things she had never tried before. And it was a whole new world that opened up because of the transplant, because of the gift of life.
Before my transplant, I was very sick, and because of the heavy meds I was on, my growth was stunted. I was like puffy, and I didn't look like healthy. And so afterwards, it was really a big, even within just the first couple months, like I felt like I kind of grew into myself. I felt like I started growing. I started just feeling like myself, whereas I didn't really feel that way before. And after the transplant, I could do so many things. I joined like the softball team in my school that I've been in. I started in 8th grade, and I continued throughout my high school career. I joined the choir that I love, and I could do with my sisters and my friends, which meant so much to me. I went on so many fun family vacations with my parents and my sisters. I got to go on my senior trip to France, which was such an incredible experience. And I could do it all knowing I was healthy, and it was really incredible. Right now, I just graduated high school, and I am planning to go to the University of Michigan to study biology and pursue pre-med, which I am very excited about. And it is such a full circle moment because I got all of my surgeries and my transplant at University of Michigan at the Children's Hospital. So it means so much to me to be able to go to school there and continue my journey there. In 2020, 2 years after my transplant, my donor family reached out to me, and we connected, and we FaceTimed for the first time. And I remember just being filled with this feeling of gratitude.
By some miracle, our donor family, who never got that letter because they had moved a couple times since the loss of their son, found us in their own ways of research and Facebook. And once we confirmed the connection and were able to meet, 2 years had passed, but we were able to catch up on each other's lives, get to know their son, what he was like, what he loved, what made him laugh, the struggles they endured.
Their son, Michael, my donor, was 22, and he, from what I know and what they have told me and talked about, he was just the most genuine and happy and sweetest person. And I feel their love for him and for me when I talk to them. I've also heard that that not every recipient gets to meet their donor family. So meeting mine and knowing them makes it even more special, and I feel even more grateful.
Every experience and every moment, we are thinking of them and saying, you know, before we knew them, when we would drive Rose to school, you know, we say a prayer with our kids on the way to school, just to set the tone for the day. And so often, you know how the sunbeams come down through the clouds and you actually like see the beams coming through the sky? We would look up and say, there's our person. We didn't know Michael yet. And that for a recipient's family, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's in a letter, whether it's expressed, or whether it's never known between donor and recipient, I hope for the donors, because it is something to grapple with, being on the side of the recipient. I wouldn't call it survivor's guilt, but this feeling of our prayers were answered. And knowing that on the other side there is grief and pain. And reconciling that is so difficult. So the best way that we cope in those moments is to live fully and live gratefully. And in doing so, it feels like an honor to the donor that their gift, changed a life, saved a life. Their gift was a miracle, and they will be carried on with the recipient, and it's the best way we know to make sense of it all. Rosie intends to live as big and beautiful a life as she can because of their son, Michael.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your donation and the gift of life.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It is an honor to join you now to see the names and the faces of the heroes of donation.
Grief is a reflection of the deep love you have for your loved one. On behalf of Life Connection of Ohio, Solvita, and Lions Eye Bank of West Central Ohio, we appreciate you for sharing your photographs and memories with us.
Thank you for attending today's ceremony and allowing us to honor and celebrate your loved one with you. May we find comfort in memories and strength in each other.